Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm thrilled to be here with you today on this incredible podcast. We're diving deep into the stuff that truly matters, pushing limits, breaking barriers, and becoming the absolute best version of ourselves. Now, how many of you have ever felt like you've hit a wall? Maybe you're grinding at work, trying to finish that project, and suddenly your brain just screams, "Nope! I'm done. Pizza and Netflix time." Or perhaps you're slogging through a workout, legs burning, lungs screaming, and that little voice whispers, "Just one more representative. Nah, who are we kidding? Let's just sit down." We've all been there, right? That moment where our mind tries to convince us that we've reached our absolute limit. But what if I told you that that limit is a big fat lie? What if I told you that we're only scratching the surface of what we're truly capable of? That's what we're here to explore today. We're going to talk about mastering your mind, about tapping into that untapped potential that's just waiting to be unleashed. We'll be exploring the idea of the 40% rule, the concept that when your mind tells you you're done, you're actually only about 40% of the way there. Let's be honest. We're living in a world that often rewards comfort and instant gratification. It's easy to get caught in the trap of settling for good enough. But good enough isn't going to get you to your dreams. It's not going to help you become the person you're meant to be. It's time to challenge that easy road. This isn't just about physical strength or athletic achievements. This is about mental toughness. This is about building the resilience to overcome any obstacle life throws your way. This is about taking control of your mind and using it as a tool to achieve anything you set your heart on. So buckle up, get ready to challenge your assumptions, and prepare to unlock a whole new level of potential within yourself. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I'm thrilled to be here, talking to you about something incredibly powerful, something that lives inside each and every one of you, your untapped potential. Our discussion is titled, Master Your Mind, the 40% Rule to Defy All Odds. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Another motivational speech? Haven't I heard it all before? Maybe. But I promise you, this isn't about empty platitudes. This is about real strategies, real examples, and a real kick in the pants to get you moving. We're talking mental toughness, the kind that helps you push past pain, overcome obstacles, and achieve things you never thought possible. Think about it. How many times have you given up on something, convinced you'd reached your limit? Whether it's that extra mile on the treadmill, that difficult work project, or just getting out of bed on a gloomy Monday morning, we've all been there. That voice in your head whispers, "Stop, you're tired, this is too hard." That voice is a liar, most of the time. We're going to tackle how to silence that voice, or at least how to argue back like a seasoned lawyer. The key concept we will explore today is the 40% rule. Sounds simple, right? Don't let the simplicity fool you. It's a game changer. We will break the myth of our limits and show that you have much more to offer. Right now, many of you are probably thinking, "I'm too tired," or "This is too hard." Maybe you skipped your workout, or you're about to order that extra large pizza. Hey, no judgment. We've all been there. I've been there. I've had days where getting out of bed feels like climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops. But let me tell you a little secret. Your brain is a sneaky little liar. It tells you you're done long before you actually are. It throws a pity party for one the moment things get even slightly uncomfortable. It's like that friend who always bails on you, pretending to be sick when you're about to do something challenging. The truth is, when you feel like you've hit your limit, you're probably only at about 40% of your actual capacity. Seriously, think about it. Remember that time you thought you couldn't possibly run another step, and then suddenly a dog started chasing you? You found extra gear then, right? You became Usain Bolt overnight. It's about pushing past that voice inside your head that screams, "Stop! I can't do it!" It's about learning to tell that voice, "Thanks for the suggestion, but I got this." It's about finding that extra 60% that's waiting for you, untapped and ready to be unleashed like a caffeinated honey badger. All right, everyone, let's dive deeper. So, you've acknowledged that voice inside your head, and you're starting to realize you have more potential than you thought. Great, but knowing isn't doing. This is where most people stumble. They get excited, maybe set a goal, but then life happens. The alarm goes off early, it's cold outside, that workout looks less appealing, and that voice, it gets louder. It whispers, "Just skip it today. You deserve a break." Sound familiar? We all have that inner negotiator. Let's call him Fred. Fred is a master of excuses. He's got a whole arsenal of them, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Fred will tell you that you were tired, sore, busy, or that Netflix is more important. Fred is not your friend. Fred is comfortable with average. Fred loves mediocrity. The key to overcoming Fred is to recognize his tactics. He's predictable. He'll always use the same old tricks. Once you know his game, you can choose to not play. The next time Fred starts whispering excuses, you need to challenge him. Ask yourself, is this excuse valid? Am I truly incapable of doing this, or am I just uncomfortable? 99% of the time, it's the latter. Think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to learn a new language. Day 1, you're pumped. Day 2, you struggle with the grammar. Fred pipes up. This is hard. Maybe languages aren't your thing. But you push through. Day 3, you can finally say a few basic sentences. It feels good. You're making progress. Fred's still there, but his voice is a little quieter now. And that's the point. Every time you push past Fred, you weaken his power. You callous your mind. You build resilience. You prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. All right, folks, let's dive into something crucial. Breaking down those mental barriers. We all have them. Those pesky little voices that whisper, "Enough. You're tired. Just stop." They love to show up precisely when we're about to level up. Think of it like this. You're at the gym, doing push-ups. You feel the burn, your arms are shaking, and that voice starts screaming, "Okay, you've done enough. No one will know if you stop." That, my friends, is the 40% rule rearing its ugly head. See, our brains are wired for survival. They want to conserve energy, avoid discomfort, and keep us safe. So anytime we push ourselves beyond our perceived limits, it throws up a red flag. It shouts, "Danger! Conserve energy! Retreat!" But here's the kicker. That perceived limit is almost always lower than our actual limit. We're usually operating at only a fraction of our true potential. Imagine a rubber band. If you only stretch it a little bit, it snaps right back to its original shape. No change, no growth. But if you stretch it further, past that initial resistance, it will start to change, to become more elastic. The same goes for your mind. You need to stretch it beyond its comfort zone to unlock its true potential. Don't get me wrong. Listening to your body is important. If you are injured, don't push through it. I'm talking about that mental fatigue, that feeling of wanting to quit when you know you have more to give. That's the 40% rule talking, and that's what we need to learn to overcome. Next, we'll talk about how we can push past that barrier. All right, champions, let's talk about the cookie jar. No, I'm not suddenly giving you permission to raid the sweets aisle. Although a little treat now and then never hurt anyone, right? Everything in moderation, folks. But this cookie jar is way more powerful than any sugary snack. Think of your cookie jar as your personal memory bank of awesome. It's a collection of all the times you've overcome a challenge, big or small. Remember that time you finally nailed that presentation at work after weeks of practice? That goes in the cookie jar. Remember when you finished that 5K even though your legs felt like jelly? Cookie jar. Remember when you stood up for yourself even when it was scary? Double chocolate chip cookie for that one. The point is, we all have these moments. We all have times when we've dug deep and pushed through, but often we forget about them. We get so caught up in the present struggle that we forget how strong we already are. That's why you need this cookie jar. When doubt starts creeping in, when that little voice in your head is telling you to quit, that's when you crack open the cookie jar of your mind. Relive those victories. Remember how you felt, what you did, and how you overcame. Use those memories as fuel to power you through the current challenge. It's like saying, hey brain, remember when we crushed that hill workout? We can handle this too. Building your cookie jar takes conscious effort. Start writing things down, keep a journal, or just make mental notes throughout the day. Acknowledge your small wins. Did you wake up early to exercise? Cookie jar. Did you resist that urge to procrastinate and tackle the tough task? Cookie jar. The more you fill your cookie jar, the more confident and resilient you become. It becomes your go-to source of motivation, your secret weapon against self-doubt. So start collecting those cookies, my friends. You'll be surprised at how much strength you already possess. And remember, sometimes a little reminder of past victories is all you need to unlock the next level of your potential. Now, go fill that jar. All right, folks, let's talk about something nobody likes: discomfort. We're talking about that moment when your legs are screaming on a run, when your brain is fried from studying, or when your boss is giving you the talk about that project. You know, the moments where you just want to curl up in a ball and binge watch cat videos. These moments, my friends, are opportunities in disguise. Think of them as tiny, annoying personal trainers who are actually making you stronger. Because here's the truth. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. It happens when you're pushing against resistance, when you're facing a challenge, like trying to assemble IKEA furniture without the instructions. Painful, yes, but character building. Now, I'm not saying you have to enjoy the suck, but you can learn to embrace it, reframe it, maybe even find a little humor in it. I remember once I was giving a speech and my zipper was down the whole time. Mortifying, right? But instead of panicking, I made a joke about it. The audience laughed, I felt better, and we all moved on. Sometimes the best way to deal with a tough situation is to laugh at yourself. Find the absurdity, the ridiculousness, and use it to lighten the load. After all, life's too short to take everything so seriously, especially when you are failing. Seriously, if you are not failing, you are not even trying. If you are trying, you are failing. If you are failing, you are learning. And if you are learning, you are growing. Growth is what we are here for. Hey everyone, welcome back. So we've talked about facing the monster in the mirror, acknowledging the lies we tell ourselves, and grabbing the reins of our own lives. But let's be real, climbing Mount Everest doesn't happen in one giant leap, right? You don't just wake up one morning and decide to run a marathon without training. And that's where the power of incremental progress comes in. Think of it like this. You want to lose weight, a common goal, right? You could starve yourself for a week. Will you lose weight? Sure. Will you feel amazing? Absolutely not. And will it last? Probably not. Instead, what if you started by just walking for 30 minutes every day? Or swapping that sugary soda for water? Small changes, right? But over time, those small changes add up. It's like compounding interest, but for your life. It's about focusing on getting slightly better every single day. Maybe today you push yourself to do one extra representative at the gym. Maybe you read one more chapter of that book you've been putting off. Maybe you finally make that phone call you've been dreading. These tiny victories might seem insignificant on their own, but they create momentum. They build confidence. And most importantly, they callous your mind. Remember those days when you wanted to quit but didn't? Those are the days that define you. So break down your big, scary goals into smaller, more manageable chunks. Celebrate those small wins. Acknowledge the progress, no matter how small it seems, because it's the consistent effort, the steady climb that ultimately leads to the summit. And trust me, the view from the top is worth it. All right, folks, let's talk about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I know, it sounds like something your grandma would say, right? Embrace the discomfort, dearie. But trust me, there's real power in it. We humans, we're wired to seek comfort. Soft couches, warm blankets, that extra slice of pizza, no judgment. But that constant pursuit of comfort, it's a trap. Think of it like this. Your comfort zone is a tiny little room. And inside that room, not much grows. No new skills, no real strength, physically or mentally. Imagine trying to become a great musician, but only ever playing the same 3 notes. Boring, right? And you definitely won't get to Carnegie Hall. The magic, the growth, the amazing stuff, it all happens outside that little room. It's in those moments where you're pushing against your perceived limits, where you're doing something that scares you a little bit. Maybe it's finally telling your boss that idea you've been sitting on. Maybe it's signing up for that 5K, even though the last time you ran, you pulled a hamstring reaching for the remote. Or maybe it's just having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding with a loved one. See, when you start to actively seek out discomfort, you're not just building resilience, you're actually rewriting your brain. Every time you push past that urge to quit, every time you face a challenge head on, you're telling yourself, hey, I can handle more than I thought. You are building real confidence and a mental muscle that says, bring it on. All right, listen up. We've talked about the 40% rule, about pushing past the point where your brain screams enough. But how do we actually do it? How do we find the strength when everything inside us is begging to quit? The answer, my friends, lies in your own personal cookie jar. Now, I'm not talking about a literal jar filled with sugary treats, although, hey, if that motivates you, go for it. I'm talking about a mental cookie jar. It's a place where you store all your past victories, all the times you've overcome obstacles, all the moments you proved yourself wrong. Think about it. Have you ever finished a tough project at work even when you felt totally burnt out? Did you ever stick to a diet or exercise plan longer than you thought you could? Did you ever help someone out even when you were tired or didn't feel like it? Those are cookies, baby. Load them into that mental jar. Whenever you're facing a challenge, whenever that 40% wall hits you, reach into that cookie jar. Remember what you're capable of. Remember the times you've already pushed through. Let those past victories fuel your present efforts. It's like having a mental cheat code. Feeling weak? Remember that time you ran that extra mile when your legs were screaming. Feeling down? Remember when a friend told you how much your support meant to them. Those are your personal power-ups. Use them. Building your cookie jar isn't just about remembering the big wins either. It's about recognizing the small victories too. Did you get out of bed on a day you felt like staying under the covers? Cookie. Did you choose the healthy option over junk food? Cookie. Did you say something kind to a stranger? Big cookie. The bigger your cookie jar, the more ammunition you have to fight those limiting beliefs and push past that 40% rule. So start building it today. Reflect on your past successes, big and small, and let them be a source of strength and motivation.
Trust me, when you need it most, that cookie jar will be your best friend. And who knows, maybe you will earn a real one as a reward.
All right, champions, let's talk about getting real with yourselves. We all have a cookie jar. No, I'm not talking about the one your grandma filled with chocolate chip goodness, although that's a nice image, isn't it? This cookie jar is a collection of all your past wins, big and small. Times you pushed through when you thought you couldn't. Moments you surprised yourself. Think about it. Remember that time you aced a test you were sure you'd fail? Or when you finished that project at work despite wanting to throw your computer through the window? Or even that time you finally learned how to make the perfect omelet? Hey, victories come in all sizes. These are your cookies. These are proof that you're tougher than you think. When you're facing a challenge that feels impossible, when that 40% wall is looming, don't just sit there feeling sorry for yourself. Dig into your cookie jar. Seriously, take a moment. Close your eyes if you need to. Replay those past victories in your mind. Feel the satisfaction, the pride, the strength that you felt then. Remind yourself, I've been here before. I've overcome obstacles before. I can do this. It's not about being arrogant or delusional. It's about remembering the truth. You have a track record of success. You have the inner resources to handle whatever you're facing right now. So, the next time you're tempted to tap out, take a trip to your mental cookie jar. One victory at a time, you will start to callous your mind. And believe me, those cookies taste a lot sweeter than the instant gratification of giving up. They're a reminder that the best version of you is always just a little bit further than you think. Go get it. All right, folks, let's talk about chipping away at that wall. You're not going to become a Navy SEAL overnight. Heck, you're probably not going to run a marathon tomorrow. And that's okay. Progress isn't always this huge leap. Often it's small, almost invisible steps, like training a puppy. You don't expect him to sit, stay, and fetch on day one, right? You reward the little victories. He sits for 1 second, boom, treat. He stays for 2, party time. It's the same with your goals. You want to write a book? Don't aim for 5,000 words today. Aim for 500. Done? Awesome. Reward yourself, maybe with another chapter, or, a nap. You deserve it, because those small wins, those consistent efforts, they compound over time. Think of it like compound interest. You start small, but the returns are exponential. Let me give you a real-life example. I had a client, let's call him Bob, who wanted to lose weight. He was completely overwhelmed. He tried extreme diets, intense workouts, everything, and he kept failing. So we scaled it back. We started with one small change, walking for 20 minutes 3 times a week. That's it. Then we added another small change, cutting out sugary drinks. Then another, eating 1 healthy meal a day. Slowly, consistently, Bob started seeing results. And because it wasn't an agonizing overhaul, he actually stuck with it. Now, Bob's running half marathons and preaching the gospel of vegetables. Okay, maybe not the preaching part, but you get the idea. Small changes, big impact. So stop trying to conquer Everest in one day. Focus on base camp, then Camp 1, then Camp 2. Celebrate those little victories, learn from the setbacks, and keep putting one foot in front of the other, because eventually you'll reach the summit, even if you have to crawl there. And when you do, the view will be all the sweeter knowing you earned every inch of it. And you will look back and laugh at the time you thought you couldn't even climb the stairs.
All right, everyone. Let's talk about facing the music. You've pushed, you strived, you've chipped away at that wall. But now that wall's looking pretty darn impregnable, isn't it? Your brain is screaming uncle, and your body is echoing the sentiment. This is the moment of truth. This is where champions are truly made, or unfortunately, where dreams often go to die. Think of it like this. You're baking a cake. You've mixed all the ingredients, you carefully poured it into the pan, and you've been patiently waiting. But right before it's done, you think, I'm not really feeling cake anymore, and you pull it out early. Underbaked, disappointing, and a complete waste of effort. Don't let your goals be that underbaked cake. This isn't about being reckless. This is about being real with yourself. Dig deep. Ask yourself, am I actually at my limit? Or am I just uncomfortable wearing a really convincing disguise? And discomfort is just a sign you're growing. Embrace it. Learn to love to burn. Because on the other side of that discomfort lies a version of yourself you haven't even met yet. A stronger, more resilient, absolutely unstoppable you.
Section 13. Embrace the suck, find the funny. All right, we've talked about pushing past the 40% rule, facing our fears, and building some serious mental muscle. But let's be real, this stuff is hard. It's gonna suck sometimes. It's gonna feel like you're dragging yourself through peanut butter uphill, backwards, in the rain. So what do you do when the suck is real? When you're staring down that challenge and every fiber of your being is screaming, abort mission, abort mission. You embrace it. Seriously, don't run away from it. Lean into it. Think of it like this. You're baking a cake. You need all the ingredients, right? Even the not-so-pleasant ones, like maybe a little salt to balance the sweetness. The suck is just another ingredient in your life cake. Without it, things would be bland. And here's a secret weapon, a life hack I've learned along the way. Find the funny. I know, when you're in the middle of a grueling workout or dealing with a tough situation, funny is probably the last word that comes to mind. But trust me on this one. Humor is a powerful tool. It helps you detach from the intensity of the moment. It gives you perspective. It reminds you that, hey, even though this is tough, it's not the end of the world. Maybe it's cracking a joke to yourself, even a bad one. Maybe it's remembering a funny story. Maybe it's simply finding the absurdity in the situation. For example, imagine you're struggling through the last mile of a marathon. Your legs are burning, your lungs are screaming, and you're pretty sure your shoes have developed sentience and are plotting against you. Instead of focusing on the pain, try thinking, wow, I bet I look hilarious right now, waddling like a penguin. Or, this is probably a great advertisement for not skipping leg day. It sounds silly, but it works. It breaks the tension, shifts your focus, and gives you a little boost to keep going. Embrace the suck, find the funny, and turn those tough moments into opportunities for growth, and maybe a bit of a chuckle. Because, let's be honest, life's too short to be serious all the time, even when you're pushing yourself to the limit.
All right, folks, let's talk about building your personal accountability mirror. It's not some magical looking glass that shows you a superhero version of yourself. Nah, it's much simpler. It's a metaphorical mirror where you confront your excuses. And trust me, we all have them. Look, I used to tell myself I couldn't run. My knees weren't up to it, I'd say. Sound familiar? It's easy to blame outside forces, isn't it? The weather, your family. How cute your dog is when it begs for a walk instead of you going for a run. But that's all just noise, distractions from the real issue. You. The accountability mirror is about taking a long, hard look at yourself and admitting where you're falling short. Let's say you keep hitting snooze. The accountability mirror says, hey, you're choosing an extra 10 minutes of comfort over your goals. No judgment, just raw honesty. This is not about beating yourself up. It's about understanding what's holding you back. It's like when you order that pizza instead of making a healthy dinner. The mirror doesn't yell at you, but it does remind you that you are choosing instant gratification over long-term wellness. Maybe you're avoiding that tough conversation with your boss. The mirror reflects that you are prioritizing comfort over courage and growth. How do you build this mirror? Start small. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I do well? And more importantly, where did I slack off? What excuses did I make? Write it down. Seriously, write it down. Seeing it in black and white makes it real. Then, come up with a plan to tackle those weaknesses. Maybe it's setting your alarm a little later and putting your phone across the room, or prepping your healthy meal the night before. The key is to identify the problem, accept responsibility, and create a solution. Think of it as leveling up in a video game, except instead of slaying dragons, you are slaying your own limiting beliefs. And the best part? This accountability mirror is always with you. It's in your mind, ready to help you break through that 40% barrier and become the best version of yourself.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking about pushing past limits. We're diving deep into the grit, the struggle, and the incredible power you have inside you. We're calling it Master Your Mind, the 40% rule to defy all odds. So you feel like giving up, huh? You're hitting a wall, feeling the burn, and that little voice in your head is screaming, enough? I get it. We've all been there. But what if I told you that enough is just a lie? A comfortable, seductive lie your mind tells you to stay safe, to stay small. See, most of us operate like we're driving a car with the parking brake on. We sputter and we struggle, but we never really get anywhere near top speed. We're using maybe 40% of our potential, tops. That's right, just 40%. Think about that for a second. That's like buying a brand new sports car and only driving it around the block. What a waste! This isn't some abstract philosophical mumbo-jumbo. This is about real life. This is about you finally achieving the things you dream about. It's about building that iron will. It's about mastering your mind instead of letting it master you. Now, you might be thinking, easy for you to say, Mr. Motivational Speaker, you don't know my struggles. And you're right, I don't. But I do know the human struggle. I know the battle against doubt, against fear, against the urge to just stay put. I've been there myself. The key is to recognize that voice for what it is, a liar, a well-meaning liar maybe, but a liar nonetheless. It's trying to protect you from discomfort, from failure, from the unknown. But growth, real growth, happens outside your comfort zone. Think about learning to ride a bike. Remember that wobbly feeling, the scraped knees, the near misses with parked cars? Your brain was screaming, stop, this is dangerous. But you kept going. You kept pushing. And eventually, something clicked. You found your balance, and suddenly, you were flying. The same principle applies to everything in life. Whether it's tackling a tough project at work, finally starting that workout routine, or having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, the 40% rule is your secret weapon. Next time you feel like giving up, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, am I really at my limit? Or is this just my mind playing tricks on me? Chances are there's still 60% left in the tank. Dig a little deeper. Push a little harder. You might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. I am here to help you unlock your hidden potential and realize true mental toughness.